Today I'm going to replace the seat cover on the passenger side seat of my 2001 Ford F-250. Now, I ordered this seat cover online, and today I'm going to get it changed out. I've previously done the one on the driver's side, and then now the passenger side has worn. So first thing I'm going to do is unbolt this seat, get it taken out of the truck to the side so I've got some room to work on it. And to begin, I've got my ratchet wrench, and the front two bolts are Torx. So I'm going to use a T55 Torx to remove those bolts. One. And two. Now I'm going to scoot the seat forward so I've got room to access the rear bolts. Got to fold this up, and I've already got the socket on there sized up. That's a deep 18mm metric socket, and there's two studs with nuts on it, and then I'm just going to get those removed. Now there's a little keeper that holds a plastic protective nut, and I was hoping it would just come off with the nut, but I'm just going to have to get a little screwdriver here and get this pried off. And since I can't do it with my hands, so I'll be right back. All right, I've got my tool here that I'm going to use to pry that off. So I'm just going to stick that underneath and get it pulled off. Now, interestingly enough, this is the same kind of clip like you see on that holds old brake drums on the studs. Just kind of a retainer clip, and that actually was helping to hold this cap on. It would kind of fit together. So we're going to save that, reinstall that when we're done, and take off the second bolt. All right. Now I'm going to lean this seat forward. Now, on the driver's side, there will be a wire that goes to the electric seat if it's got electric, or a wire that goes to the seat belt indicator, but like this one doesn't have that, so we can just remove the seat. And it's a good time to also, you can vacuum out all that junk that's been missing there at the car wash that goes under the seat. Okay. So now we need to get this seat cover off. So now you're going to want to lay your seat down on something that's not going to get it all marred up and scratched up. Of course, you can bring it in your house, put it down on the carpet, if your wife will let you. What I've got here is an old moving blanket, and I find this handy for things like this out in the garage where I need to do something and lay it down. It can save on your knees and save from getting scuffs and marks in something like this seat. But now we need to take this side cover off. So I'm going to grab my prying tool, and there's a plastic clip. If you'll come over here and take a look, we just need to pop that out the back. And actually, a pair of side cutters is a pretty good tool for removing these. If you got one handy, I'm actually going to go get a pair of those and be right back. And I've used these side cutters like for these things in the past, because you can, basically put the inside of the clip through here and then use the prying motion to kind of pry it out of the way. Of course, you don't want to squeeze it together or you will cut the plastic, so you just kind of want to put it in there, squeeze it just enough to grip it. And sometimes they break like that one did. That's part of the cost of doing business here. All right. I'm going to use my Makita screwdriver gun. I sure like this thing for removing screws. And we're going to get these out of there. Now, it's not a real high-speed screwdriver, but it's good for getting into tight places because it's not very big. All right, so now, let's see if we can get that off. Looks like we're going to have to take this little lever off. There's a screw in here that holds it in place. So we'll get that out of the way. I always like to make sure that I put the screw that I take out kind of with the piece that it went with. That way you don't get them mixed up. And we've got a screw here that's underneath that. So now we're going to get this pulled out of the way. Put this screw where it goes, kind of, even though it looks like they are the identical screws. And so now we're going to work on getting this seat cover off. As you can see on the front, it's kind of got this plastic clip that clips over the metal. So we're just going to work it off. Okay, so it's 10 millimeters, so I'm going to start by taking these out. Let's see, okay, now I've got another 10 millimeter right here. Take that one loose. The angle is a little severe, so I'm going to use a, see if I can't get a wobble socket in there. I found a wobble socket. Those are good for getting into some of these tight angle situations. Save you some time instead of having to use a wrench. One, and we get the other one down here. So we'll put that off to the side. Got our bolts for it. I'm going to need to unbolt this bracket, and it's a 13 millimeter. So we're going to get that removed now. So we've got to undo the clips on each side here. Then they just kind of stretch on, and there's a little stretch to the seat and pull that clip off. And then this seat actually goes to some Velcro that's down in the middle of the foam. Looks like some of that's starting to come off a little bit. Not bad for a seat that's 20 years old. We're going to try to keep from ripping too much of that up. Now, the longer you let these seat covers go, the worse your foam might get underneath. So if you let it go too long, the foam's going to start to get torn up. But there is replacement foam pieces out there if you need them. Luckily, this one's still in good enough shape that I'm just going to replace the seat cover. And let's see underneath here. What do we got? We've got it where it's kind of welded in. So let's see if we can't get a good look at that. This hinge is kind of interesting. Looks like it kind of clips in there. Haven't quite seen one of those before, so we're going to see what we need to do to get that out of there. Try prying up against it. Kind of just a stud there with a plastic clip on the bottom. It looks like we're able just to pry it up and out of there. As you can see, it's just got this stud that goes down into here, plastic clip. So we'll pull that out of the way, and here is our old seat cover out of the truck, and then our new seat cover. Now, there are some holes that we're going to need to install or put in the new seat cover. So you can either try to line up your old one as a pattern and see where the holes need to be, or just kind of get it installed and then cut your holes. We'll put this up in the truck out of the way just for a second. All right, so now I'm gonna start off with my cover, kind of turning it inside out a little bit. And the reason for that is I'm just gonna try to line up with the foam. Make sure that we've got the front of the seat. Shove that in the Velcro, and then we'll work it on getting the seat cover over the seat. Now I'm going to start with this front, get this clipped on the metal, just like this. And on the back, just going to pull that seat cover tight. All right, so now we've got that done. Now we need to do our sides. So just gonna get it stretched, and we might have to try to push in on the foam a little bit. stretch and then get it fold over. All right. So now we've got to figure out where we need to make our holes in the seat. Like I say, measure twice, cut once. So we'll try to get this figured out. Maybe compare it to the other seat. We've got this going in like that. Okay, I think that can just come down here and go through the holes. So we're going to get our seat back again. Try not to poke a hole in our new seat cover. All right. And I'll just be able to shove it down through that hole and over. And now I need to work on getting this installed. All right. So now I'm going to figure out where these bolt holes go. And so I'm going to go through the back side with the little screwdriver poker and poke a hole up through the vinyl. And that's going to be where my hole is for the bolt. Then I'm just going to use my knife to do a little bit of an X pattern there to create enough room to get a bolt through. So we got that bolt started. Now we're going to get the other bolt going. Okay, so now I'm going to get ready to bolt the lower bracket on, but then there's a place that a small screw goes in here to the side to bolt that side panel on. So what I did kind of in preparation is I found where that screw goes and then just poked a hole up through the vinyl, and that way I can use that to find the screw when I'm putting this side cover back on. Okay, so we've got that there. And so now I need to go ahead and install our bracket back on. All right, got to find a creative way to help hold this into position. So I'm going to use a little screwdriver for some help. Put it in there to hold that side. I'll get this other side lined up. Now when I do things like this, I always try to get all the bolts started, because there's kind of some alignment that has to be done when you're doing it. So you just kind of want to get them all started and run down, but leave a little room to align and move things around. And for this socket to work, I've got to actually pull this bracket out a little bit due to some clearance issue. So run it down most of the way, leave a little bit so we can do some alignment. I'm going to take my helper out. Get that bolt in. All right, so I want to leave enough room so I can move the front around and do some alignment. So in the meantime, I'm going to need to move my brackets up so we can get these front bolts in. And I can go ahead and just cinch these down all the way because all my need for alignment will be done at that point. And once I've done that, then I can go back and tighten the rear bolts. All right, so we've got the seat bolted down to the frame. Now I need to put this plastic cover back on. Let's see, we still got our little screwdriver kind of holding our place for where we need to put that screw. All right. So let's take a look. So now we've got our plastic bracket down here on the bottom. We're going to go ahead and get the screws started in that. And the clip that I broke earlier, I got the remnants out, and then I've just kind of got another plastic push clip. Now, these take the kind that's a little bit wider, but this will just work for now to hold it. And you just shove that into position there. And then, so now we need to find our all right, where that screw goes. So I'm going to just leave my screwdriver there and then just push it all the way through and out to help me guide that screw into the right spot. I'm just going to need my screwdriver gun. Tighten that up. And now we can go ahead and tighten down our brackets. Move that to get that out of the way. All right. So what are we missing? Okay. Now we need to put a recliner fastener there. That way the drinker side, as Vice Grip Garage says, can recline their seat back and take a break. All right. So now we've got all that put into position. We can do a little view of before and after. Now this is the old seat cover, and this is our new one. And as you can see, looks a little bit better than the previous one. And I was happy this latest one that I ordered is actually just like the factory. It's got the leather inserts on the top. Of course, it is vinyl on the sides, but that is the same way that the factory was. There are some different companies that have these out there on the internet. The one that I did on the driver's side was actually all vinyl, and it looks pretty good, but I was happy when I got this one to see that it actually was the leather. And I want to go back and make sure that we can have it sticking in the Velcro to help keep the seat function. But anyways, that's it. So now we're just going to go ahead and get this seat reinstalled in the truck. And to help me do that, make sure we're reclined up all the way. Now on the rear, of course, you got the studs. I want to make sure that we got the studs. All right, so we got those installed. Now we're gonna install these front bolts. It's a Torx 55. All right, now we're going to install our brake drum retainer clip that Ford uses on this rear seat stud. So we got that installed, and then we're going to use our nut cover, special design for Ford to cover your nuts. All right, nuts are covered. Okay, we got my new seat cover installed, and I'm really happy with the installation, and it looks like a great quality product. If it'll last 20 years like the first one did, then we'll be in business for a long time. Now here's a look at the old one and how it got blown out. So anyways, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.